My girlfriend declared she's polyamorous so she could bang her ex. I responded by dating her half-sister. Now she's having a meltdown. Hey Reddit, I don't even know where to start with this mess. Never thought I'd be posting here, but I need to get this off my chest. Apologies if this gets long. So I, 30 male, had been with Megan, 27 female, for almost 4 years. We were living together for 2 of those years in this small apartment downtown. Nothing fancy, but it was our place. You know, we'd been talking about maybe buying a house next year, and everything seemed solid. I really thought this was it. She was the one. I was even looking at rings whenever she wasn't around. Yeah, I know. Stupid me. Then last month, she hit me with some crazy that changed everything. We were having a late dinner on a Thursday night. I had just gotten home from an extended shift at work, and she'd ordered pizza, hadn't even bothered to set the table. She'd been acting weird all week, constantly on her phone, smiling at texts, then hiding the screen when I walked by. I'd noticed but kept my mouth shut. After I'd taken a few bites, she cleared her throat and put down her phone. Her face had this rehearsed seriousness to it. That's when she dropped the news. She'd been doing a lot of thinking and had realized she was polyamorous. The pizza stuck in my throat. I just stared at her while she went on about how monogamy was a social construct and how she'd been suppressing her true self for years. According to her, she needed the freedom to explore connections with other people, but claimed it didn't mean she loved me any less. The whole time she talked, her eyes kept darting to her phone like she was expecting an important message. I knew there had to be someone specific. Guys, don't get this speech out of nowhere. There's someone else, isn't there? I finally asked. She looked offended. This isn't about any specific person. It's about my authentic self. Who is it? After dancing around it for a few minutes, she finally admitted it. Fine, Jason and I have been talking again. Jason, her ex. So, let me get this straight, I said. You've been talking to your ex behind my back, and now suddenly you're polyamorous. We're just reconnecting as friends, she insisted. But yes, there might be feelings there I want to explore. That doesn't mean I love you any less. When I pointed out that she was basically asking permission to cheat with her ex, she got all defensive, said I was reducing something beautiful to something crude and that I could also explore connections if I wanted to. Yeah, right. This wasn't about me having options. This was about her wanting to be with Jason while keeping me as her safety net. And if I say no to all this, I asked. She straightened up in her chair. Then you're choosing to limit my personal growth and autonomy. I'm doing this with or without your permission, Adam. I just hoped you'd be evolved enough to grow with me. Basically, accept her cheating or get dumped. Some choice. That night, I slept on the couch because I couldn't stand to be next to her. I laid there thinking about the last 4 years. How I'd been saving for a ring, how I'd helped her pay off her credit cards twice. How I'd moved to this city for her job. I barely slept. I kept thinking about all the signs I missed. The passcode on her phone changing. The girls' nights that went late. The new clothes she'd been buying. Classic cheating just dressed up with a fancy new label. The next morning, I told Megan I needed time to process this transition. She actually smiled and said she was thrilled I was making an effort to understand her journey, like I deserved a gold star for not immediately breaking up with her cheating ass. I was planning to just end things, but then I remembered something or someone. Violet, Megan's half-sister. See, Megan and Violet share the same dad, but different moms. They haven't spoken in almost 3 years. There's some serious bad blood between them, and it goes way beyond typical sibling rivalry. Back when Violet's mom was fighting cancer, Megan had made everything about herself. She'd skip hospital visits claiming they were too depressing, then post on social media about how hard the situation was for her. The final straw came at the funeral. Violet had prepared a heartfelt eulogy, but Megan somehow convinced their dad to let her speak first. She turned it into a performance, complete with a poem she'd clearly written that morning, stealing the spotlight from Violet on the worst day of her life. Afterward, instead of supporting the family, Megan disappeared with friends, claiming she needed to process her grief. Violet never forgave her for that narcissistic display. I always liked Violet, though. We'd gotten along whenever we ran into each other at family stuff. She was smart, funny, had her together. Complete opposite of Megan, honestly. So, while Megan was out on her first official date with Jason, I found Violet on Instagram. Her profile said she'd gotten divorced last year. I sent her a message asking if she'd be free for coffee sometime, saying I needed some family insight. She responded quickly, seeming surprised to hear from me. Yeah, it was probably a little messed up to immediately think of her sister. But Megan had just blown up our 4-year relationship to bang her ex. I wasn't exactly in a rational state of mind, and honestly, a small part of me was already thinking about how Megan would react if I started seeing someone else, especially if that someone was Violet. Looking back, I can see this was the point where things could have gone differently. I could have just broken up with Megan like a normal person, processed the breakup, moved on, but nope. She wanted to explore connections. Fine. I had a connection I wanted to explore, too. And that's how this whole mess started. Violet showed up looking way more put together than I felt. She's got this calm, confident vibe that's the complete opposite of Megan's constant drama. I almost chickened out of telling her the real reason I wanted to meet, but after some awkward small talk, I just laid it all out. So, Megan told me she's polyamorous now, I said, doing air quotes around polyamorous. Violet raised an eyebrow. Seriously? Yeah. She wants to start seeing her ex again, Jason, the tattoo guy who never had a real job. She rolled her eyes. Shocking. I explained everything, how Megan had sprung this on me out of nowhere. The ultimatum, the whole "it's who I am" speech. Violet didn't seem surprised at all. She just sipped her latte and nodded like she was hearing exactly what she expected. You're not shocked by any of this? I asked. Adam, this is classic Megan. She wants what she wants, and she'll find a way to make it sound like a philosophical position instead of just being selfish. According to Violet, Megan had been planning this for months. She'd apparently told their cousin Kylie about reconnecting with an old flame back in February, 4 months ago, while I was helping her mom move apartments while I was covering all our rent because she wanted to find her passion and quit her job without having anything lined up. So, what are you going to do? Violet asked. I shrugged. Break up with her, I guess. What else can I do? She gave me this look like she was measuring me up. You could get even. What do you mean? She wants to see other people while keeping you on standby. Fine, two can play that game. I thought she was just suggesting I should also start dating around, but Violet had something more specific in mind. She told me Thanksgiving was coming up at their dad's house in a few weeks, and Megan had already announced she was bringing a special guest, almost certainly Jason. The whole family was dreading it because apparently Jason had stolen money from their dad years ago and denied it. But what if you showed up, too? Violet suggested, leaning forward. With me? I nearly choked on my coffee. With you? Like with you? With you. Why not? We've always gotten along. You're objectively attractive, I'm newly single, and it would absolutely destroy her to see her boyfriend with her sister. Ex-boyfriend. Technically, I corrected her. At least that's what she's calling me now. Even better, at first, I thought she was joking, but as she explained her reasoning, I realized she was dead serious. This wasn't just about helping me get back at Megan. Violet had her own scores to settle. Every time I try to just move on and live my life, she finds a way to mess with it. Violet said, maybe it's time she learned what that feels like. I sat there processing all this. Part of me knew this was a terrible idea. Dating your girlfriend's sister for revenge? That's some soap opera level drama. But another part of me, the part still reeling from Megan's betrayal, was thinking it might be the perfect response to her ultimatum. Wouldn't this just prove her point though? I asked, about monogamy being outdated or whatever? Violet shook her head. No, because you're not claiming to be polyamorous. You're just moving on to someone who actually respects you. There's a difference. I thought about it some more. Your dad would freak out. Dad knows what Megan is like. He'll be shocked at first, but he'll get over it. Besides, he likes you. This is crazy, I said. But I was already kind of warming up to the idea. Crazier than your girlfriend suddenly deciding she's polyamorous so she can bang her ex with your permission. She had a point. We ended up talking for hours. What started as a revenge scheme morphed into a genuine conversation. I learned more about Violet in those few hours than I had in all the years of knowing her through Megan. She told me about her divorce, her ex cheated with a coworker, her job as a pediatric nurse, her plans to go back to school for her master's degree. I told her about my work, my family back in Ohio, my dream of opening my own business someday. As I walked home, I felt conflicted. Part of me was excited about getting to know Violet better. Part of me felt guilty, like I was doing something wrong. But then I remembered Megan's face as she told me she was seeing Jason, whether I liked it or not. The way she'd planned this for months behind my back, the ultimatum. She'd changed the rules without asking me. Now I was just playing by her new rule book. Meanwhile, Megan had no idea any of this was happening. When I got home, she was getting ready for another date with Jason. She was wearing a dress I'd bought her for our anniversary. How do I look? She asked, twirling around. Great, I said flatly. I'm going to grab dinner with a friend tonight, so don't wait up. She looked surprised. I'd been mostly moping around the apartment since her announcement. Oh, that's good. Who are you meeting? Just someone from work. I lied. Thought I'd take your advice and start being more social. She smiled like she was proud of herself for liberating me. That's great, Adam. See, opening up our relationship is going to be good for both of us. If she only knew who I was really meeting the next night, but she'd find out soon enough, and I had a feeling her enthusiasm for opening up our relationship was about to be seriously tested. Me and Violet went hiking the next day, and I told Megan I was going hiking with some people from work. She barely looked up from her phone as I left, probably texting Jason about their workshop. Meeting up with Violet was weirdly not weird. She showed up in actual hiking clothes, unlike Megan, who would wear impractical cute outfits for the Instagram photos. Had a proper backpack with water and snacks and was ready to go. The hike was awesome. Violet didn't need to stop every 5 minutes to take selfies. She brought actual trail mix, not just photogenic fruit arranged in a special container. She kept up with me on the steep parts and didn't complain once. After that day, things moved quickly. We started seeing each other whenever Megan was out with Jason, which was most evenings and weekends. The contrast between the two sisters was striking. Violet was direct, honest, didn't play games. When she said she'd call, she called. When she was upset about something, she just said so instead of giving me the silent treatment and expecting me to figure it out. It was like dating an actual adult for the first time. After 3 weeks of this double life, I decided it was time to start moving my stuff out. Not all at once that would tip off Megan, but gradually. A few shirts here, some books there. I told Megan I was decluttering as part of my emotional growth journey. She ate that up thinking I was embracing her new age polyamory lifestyle. "I'm so proud of you for embracing change," she said one night after noticing half my closet was empty. "This is what personal evolution looks like." What it actually looked like was me moving most of my stuff to Violet's apartment. We weren't officially living together. That would be way too fast. But I was staying over more nights than not. I told Megan I needed space to process our relationship changes. She was so wrapped up in Jason that she barely noticed I was gone most of the time. Thanksgiving Day arrived. Violet and I had decided I should drive to her dad's house separately, partly so she could get there first and establish her presence and partly because we might need separate escape vehicles if things went nuclear. Megan had no idea I was coming. She still thought I was spending the holiday alone at the apartment. That morning she'd texted me, "Thinking of you today. Enjoy your quiet day alone." I didn't respond. I was too busy picking out a shirt that Violet had told me looked good on me. Yeah, I was nervous as hell, not just about confronting Megan, but about meeting Violet's family as her boyfriend instead of as Megan's boyfriend. Talk about awkward. I arrived at the house about 30 minutes after Violet. My hands were sweaty as I rang the doorbell, holding a bottle of wine I'd brought as a gift. Violet's dad opened the door, looking surprised, but not unhappy to see me. "Adam, what are you doing here? Come in. Come in." I stepped inside, immediately scanning the room for Megan. She was sitting on the couch next to a guy I assumed was Jason, tall with those stupid little stick and poke tattoos on his knuckles. He looked exactly like I'd imagined, the kind of dude who probably owns a lot of crystals and talks about his energy work. Megan's face when she saw me was priceless. First confusion, then shock, then this weird forced smile like she was trying to be cool with it. "Adam, what are you doing here?" Her voice was tight. Before I could answer, Violet walked in from the kitchen, wiped her hands on a dish towel, and came straight over to me. Then she did something that I'll never forget. She slid her arm around my waist and leaned against me in a way that made it clear we weren't just friends. "You're late," she said loud enough for everyone to hear. I was starting to worry. The room went dead silent. Megan's face transformed from forced pleasantness to pure rage in about 2 seconds. "What is this?" she practically shrieked. Violet's dad looked between his daughters, bewildered. "Language, Megan. And what do you mean?" "Adam's family. Of course, he's welcome with her." "My sister? Are you kidding me?" Jason, who clearly had no idea what he'd walked into, was just sitting there looking uncomfortable as hell. "Good." Violet calmly explained that since Megan was polyamorous now, Adam was free to explore connections, too. Megan screamed that this didn't include her sister. I finally spoke up, pointing out that she was seeing her ex, so we were both just exploring our authentic selves, exactly what she wanted. The family was completely silent, watching this disaster unfold. Violet's aunt and uncle were frozen mid-drink. Her teenage cousins were recording everything on their phones. That video probably hit TikTok before dessert. Megan's dad cleared his throat. "Polyamorous, Megan, what is Adam talking about?" And that's when really hit the fan. Megan tried to explain polyamory to her conservative father while simultaneously having a meltdown about me dating her sister. Jason tried to introduce himself, got completely ignored. Violet casually went back to the kitchen to check on something in the oven like this was all perfectly normal. "So, you're cheating on Adam with this guy?" Her dad pointed at Jason who looked like he wanted to disappear. "It's not cheating if everyone consents," Megan shouted, face getting red. Violet returned from the kitchen and piped up. "Did Adam actually consent, though, or did you just announce you were doing it regardless?" Megan stomped her foot like a literal child. "This is sabotage. You've always been jealous of me. First, you stole Dad's attention with your perfect grades. Then, you got the college fund, and now you're trying to steal my boyfriend." "Ex-boyfriend," I corrected her. "Since you decided we should see other people." The argument evolved into a full family therapy session. Old grievances got dragged up. Not just about Megan and Violet's relationship, but about their parents' divorce, their mom's funeral. That time, Megan borrowed Violet's car and returned it damaged. The whole family history was getting aired out right there in the living room. At one point, Megan turned to me with tears in her eyes. "I can't believe you would do this to me with her of all people." "I didn't do anything to you," I said calmly. "You changed our relationship without my consent. I'm just adapting to the new rules." The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Thankfully, Violet's dad suggested we all sit down for dinner before the food got cold. Somehow, we all ended up at the table. Though, Megan kept shooting daggers at us while barely touching her food. Dinner was awkward as hell. Every time someone tried to start a neutral conversation, it would somehow circle back to the elephant in the room. Violet's teenage cousin asked how Jason and I both felt about sharing a girlfriend, which made Megan choke on her drink, and Jason turned bright red. After the most uncomfortable dinner of my life, people started dispersing to different parts of the house. Megan cornered me in the hallway as I was coming back from the bathroom. "Can we talk privately?" Her voice was quiet, almost pleading. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We stepped into an empty bedroom. "What are you doing, Adam?" she asked as soon as the door closed. "Is this some kind of sick joke?" "No joke, Violet and I are together now, but she's my sister, half-sister, who you haven't spoken to in years, who you've treated like her entire life." She flinched. "That's not fair. Life isn't fair. You wanted polyamory, remember? This is what it looks like." She asked how long this had been going on, and I told her about 3 weeks. She was shocked we were already at family Thanksgiving together, accusing us of moving fast just to hurt her. I insisted not everything was about her. Violet and I had a real connection. "Real?" She laughed bitterly. "You're dating her to get back at me and she's dating you to hurt me too. That's not real. That's revenge. Maybe that's how it started. But it's become something else." She stepped closer, putting her hand on my arm. "Adam, come on. This is crazy. We've been together for 4 years. Are you really throwing that away for some revenge fling with my sister?" I removed her hand. "No, you threw it away when you decided you wanted to sleep with Jason, whether I agreed or not. Remember?" Her face hardened. "Fine, have your little revenge, but don't come crawling back when she gets bored of you." "Trust me, I won't." The rest of the evening was tense, but less explosive. Eventually, Megan grabbed Jason's arm and announced they were leaving. "This family is toxic and unsupportive," she declared dramatically. "Don't forget your emotional support water bottle," Violet called after her. Megan had this stupid $50 water bottle with "Hydrate Your Soul" written on it that she took everywhere. Megan flipped us off and slammed the door. After they left, Violet's dad sat down heavily on the couch. "Well, that was unexpected. Sorry about the drama," I said. He waved it off. "Not your fault, though I have to say, dating one daughter and then the other is unconventional." We stayed for another hour, helping clean up and trying to restore some normalcy to the day. When we finally left, I felt exhausted but also relieved. The bomb had been dropped. The fallout had begun, and somehow Violet and I were still standing. As we stood by our cars in the driveway, Violet reached over and squeezed my hand. "Well," she said. "That went exactly as expected." I laughed. "Complete disaster." "Total show," she agreed, "but kind of worth it, right?" I nodded. "Absolutely worth it." Little did we know, the real drama was just beginning. The aftermath of Thanksgiving was worse than I expected. Turns out when you drop a nuclear bomb on someone's life, the radiation sticks around for a while. Who knew? Megan blew up my phone that night. 37 missed calls and about 100 texts ranging from angry, "How could you do this to me?" to tearful, "Please just talk to me," to threatening, "I'm going to tell everyone what a manipulative jerk you are." I blocked her number, but she started emailing me, using friends' phones, even trying to reach me through LinkedIn of all places. I blocked her everywhere. The next day, while Megan was at work, I went back to our apartment to get the rest of my stuff. I had already moved most of the important things to Violet's place, but there were still some clothes, books, and electronics I needed. I packed everything in about an hour, left my key on the counter with a note that said, "Thanks for suggesting polyamory. Never would have found Violet otherwise. Don't worry about the rent. I paid your half through January. Consider it a parting gift." Maybe that was petty, but I figured I'd earned a little pettiness. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. 2 days after Thanksgiving, Megan showed up at Violet's apartment. Violet wasn't home yet from her shift at the hospital, but I was there. I saw Megan's car pull up through the window and seriously considered pretending I wasn't home, but figured it was better to face this head on. When I opened the door, Megan looked like her eyes were puffy from crying. Her hair was a mess, and she was wearing sweatpants, something she normally wouldn't be caught dead in public wearing. "You're a piece of," she said when I opened the door. "You did this to hurt me," I sighed. "You don't get to play the victim here. You changed the rules without asking me. So this is punishment dating my sister." "No, This is me moving on. You wanted polyamory. I wanted you when I couldn't have just you. I found someone who wanted just me. This isn't over, she said. But she left. As she was walking to her car, she turned around. You'll regret this, both of you. I told Violet about the encounter when she got home. She wasn't surprised. Apparently, this kind of dramatic confrontation was Megan's specialty. She suggested we be careful for a while, maybe avoid places where Megan might show up. We didn't have to wait long to see what Megan meant by this isn't over. Later that week, she went nuclear on social media, posted this long rant about how her abusive ex had seduced her vulnerable sister as revenge, about how I was weaponizing polyamory and slut-shaming her. She conveniently left out the part where she sprung polyamory on me out of nowhere or had been planning it for months. Most people saw through it. A few of her ride-or-die friends attacked me in the comments. I didn't respond to any of it. Neither did Violet. We just posted a photo of us at the museum looking happy. No caption needed. The social media drama died down after a few days, but Megan wasn't done. She started telling mutual friends that I was controlling and manipulative during our relationship. That I'd isolated her from friends and family. False. She'd cut off most people herself because they were toxic. That I was turning Violet against her. As if Violet needed any help with that after years of Megan's some friends bought it. People I thought knew me better started sending me concerned messages asking for my side of the story. As if dating someone's sister after they cheated on you was somehow worse than the cheating itself. I didn't bother defending myself to most of them. The ones who really mattered knew the truth. The rest could believe whatever they wanted. About 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, Violet got a call from her cousin Kylie. Turned out Jason was seeing at least 2 other women while dating Megan. Apparently, his version of polyamory was even more evolved than hers. Should we tell her? Violet asked me. Not our circus, not our monkeys, I said. But Megan found out anyway. Jason posted pictures with another girl, not even trying to hide it. Megan lost her in the comments, saying they had agreed on ethical communication, and he was doing polyamory wrong. The irony was completely lost on her. Watching her meltdown online was like watching someone learn that water is wet. No, the guy who cheated on his previous girlfriends is also cheating on you, even in a polyamorous relationship. The only surprising part was how surprised she seemed. As for Violet and me, things were going really well. I know it's probably weird to hear that given how we got together, but once the initial revenge motivation faded, we discovered we actually worked really well together. She was straightforward, didn't play games, and actually treated me like an equal partner, instead of some accessory to her life. About a month after Thanksgiving, we were lying in bed watching a movie when my phone buzzed. Email from Megan from yet another new account I hadn't blocked yet. You going to read it? Violet asked. I sighed and opened it. It was long, paragraphs of how she'd made a terrible mistake, how Jason had shown her what real betrayal felt like. How she realized monogamy was her authentic truth after all. How she'd forgive me if I ended things with Violet and came back. I showed it to Violet. She read it silently, then started laughing. God, she's so predictable. First, she wants freedom. Then, when she gets burned, she wants security back. What should I say? Violet grinned. Nothing, or we could send a joint response. Just a photo of us in front of our new place with the caption, "Thanks for setting us up. Best decision you ever made." We didn't actually send it. No need to poke the bear. But it felt good to laugh about it. The whole experience made me realize how unhappy I'd been with Megan for a long time. Not just the polyamory thing, that was just the final straw. But all the little ways she'd made me feel inadequate, the constant comparisons to her ex, the way she'd dismiss my interests as boring, the emotional manipulation. With Violet, I felt like myself, not some version of me that I thought would be good enough for her, but actually just me. And she seemed to like that guy just fine. Then came the apartment wars. I'd been staying at Violet's place most nights, but technically I was still on the lease with Megan until the end of January. She used this as an excuse to mess with me. Changed the Netflix password, accidentally broke my gaming headset that I had left there, threw out some mail that had come for me. Petty stuff, but annoying. I wasn't too worried about it since I had all my important stuff out already. But then she escalated. She contacted my mom. My mom called me one night sounding concerned. Adam, is everything okay? Megan called me crying about how you're in some sort of cult-like polyamorous relationship. I nearly choked. What? She said you're involved with multiple women and it's some kind of commune situation. She's worried about you. I had to explain the whole story to my mom. How Megan had wanted to see other people. How I'd started dating Violet instead. How Megan was now spinning it to make herself look like the victim. Mom was quiet for a long time, so Megan wanted to cheat on you with permission. And when you broke up with her and started dating her sister, she's mad about it. That's a pretty accurate summary. Yeah. And how is Violet treating you? Really well, actually. We're happy. There was another pause. Well, bring her to dinner on Sunday. I want to meet this girl who's apparently better than the one you were going to propose to. That's my mom. Practical to the core. Sunday dinner was surprisingly not awkward. My parents liked Violet right away, probably because she actually asked them questions about themselves instead of talking about herself the whole time like Megan used to do. By dessert, Mom was showing her family photos and Dad was telling his terrible jokes that Violet politely laughed at. As we were leaving, Mom pulled me aside. "She's better for you." I always thought Megan was a bit much. Coming from my diplomatic mother, that was practically a declaration of war. I thought the drama was finally dying down. Megan had gone surprisingly quiet on social media. No more rants about betrayal. No more victim posts. I should have known better. The quiet just meant she was planning something bigger. Last week, I got a text from one of our mutual friends. "Heads up, Megan's on her way to your office. She looks pissed." I called down to warn security, but she'd already talked her way past the front desk. Claimed she was delivering a surprise lunch. Next thing I know, she's standing in the doorway of my department holding a giant envelope. "We need to talk," she announced loudly enough that my entire team turned to stare. I walked her to the break room trying to minimize the scene. "What are you doing here?" She slapped the envelope on the table. "You need to see these." Inside were printouts of text messages between Violet and her cousin Kylie. They were dated from the week after I'd first reached out to Violet. Stuff like "This is the perfect revenge and he has no idea he's just a pawn." Screenshots where Violet supposedly said she was just using me to get back at Megan. "She's playing you," Megan said, watching my face for a reaction. "This was all a setup from the beginning. She doesn't care about you." I stared at the messages feeling sick. They looked real. The timestamps lined up with when Violet and I first started talking. "How'd you get these?" I asked. Kylie felt guilty. "She sent them to me last night." Something wasn't adding up. Kylie and Megan barely spoke, and these messages, they didn't sound like Violet. Too dramatic. Too cartoonishly vindictive. "I'll need to talk to Violet about this," I said finally. Megan's face lit up with triumph. "Of course you do, and when you find out I'm right, you know where to find me." She left, clearly believing she'd just blown up my relationship. I sat there for a while staring at the messages before calling Violet. "Hey, can you meet me for lunch?" "Something's happened." An hour later, we sat at a cafe near my office. I showed her the messages without comment. She read through them, her expression shifting from confusion to anger. "These are fake," she said immediately. "I never wrote any of this." "They look pretty real." "Adam, look at the dates." May 16th, I was at a medical conference in Phoenix that whole week. My entire department was there. "Check my Instagram if you don't believe me." I pulled up her profile. Sure enough, there were posts from Phoenix during those exact dates. Hotel room selfies, conference badge photos, group dinners with coworkers, and this message on the 17th. It says it was sent at 2 p.m. I was literally on stage giving a presentation. There's video. She pulled up the conference website on her phone, navigated to the recorded sessions. There she was giving a 45-minute talk on pediatric care protocols. Timestamp clearly visible. Megan made these up poorly. I felt a wave of relief followed by anger. She came to my workplace with fake evidence. She's desperate. Violet said she can't stand that her plan backfired. That you're happy without her. That I'm happy with you. That she has to face consequences for once in her life. That evening, we decided enough was enough. We decided the petty games needed to end. We went to Megan's apartment together. She opened the door looking smug, probably thinking I was there to grovel. The smirk vanished when she saw Violet beside me. "The messages are fake," I said without preamble. "Violet was at a conference. There's video evidence. You brought fake screenshots to my workplace and tried to cause a scene." Megan's face went through several emotions in rapid succession. Surprise, anger, then an attempted innocence. "I don't know what you're talking about. Kylie sent those to me." "If they're fake, she's the one who stop." Violet interrupted. "Just stop. We talked to Kylie. She never sent you anything." This was a bluff. We hadn't actually spoken to Kylie yet, but Megan's reaction confirmed our suspicions. Her face crumpled. "You need to stop this," I continued. "No more showing up at my work. No more fake evidence. No more social media attacks. It's over, Megan." "You ruined everything," she whispered, suddenly looking small. "We were supposed to get married, have a family, then you threw it all away. You ruined it." Violet corrected her. "The moment you decided Adam wasn't enough. The moment you thought you could have everything on your terms with no consequences." "I loved him." Megan insisted, tears starting. "No, I said you loved what I provided. Stability, attention when you wanted it. Space when you didn't. You loved having me as a backup while you explored with Jason." We left Megan standing in her doorway. As we walked to the car, I felt a weight lift. The mind games, the drama, the constant looking over my shoulder. It was finally done. That night, we blocked Megan's new email account, her friends' numbers, every possible way she could reach us. Then, we bought plane tickets to Italy for the summer. A fresh start, completely disconnected from the past. 2 days later, Megan emailed from yet another new account. It was different this time. No accusations, no manipulation, just 4 sentences. I'm sorry. I see what I did now. I hope you're both happy. Please don't contact me again. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. Sometimes I think about how differently things could have gone if Megan had approached our relationship with honesty instead of manipulation, if she'd actually talked to me about her feelings instead of making unilateral decisions about our future. But then I look at Violet and realize Megan actually gave me the greatest gift possible. Freedom from a relationship that was built on shifting sand and the chance to find something real. As for Megan, last I heard, she's dating some self-proclaimed relationship guru who runs workshops on conscious uncoupling. I wish her well from a distance, a very, very large distance. Life is weird sometimes. Karma is real and sometimes the trash really does take itself out. Just when you think you've heard the worst betrayal imaginable, another story proves you wrong. If you love shocking confessions, devastating betrayals, and unforgettable revenge, hit subscribe because the next story is already waiting.